So when you click start presentation, it's going to bring you to this first screen. Like I was saying yesterday, my preference is I like to start the appointment from the needs analysis, especially because I type all the referrals. Either I write them down in a notebook or I type them right into the virtual scheduler. I like typing them in just because it makes less work for me later. Of like, I have people, they're like, oh yeah, I still have to update mine. I like to put them in, especially for you, because if you put those referrals in your scheduler, you know, throughout the week, I'll just pop open your scheduler and I'll set referrals for you. But if
Oh,
I get to
nice.
someone's, schedule and they're not in there, can't make anything of it. So, first name, last name, male, female, date of birth. Like I said, if it's a referral, I just will put in a generic date of birth that I know I have to, that I'll have to change. So if we went with, and then all right, agent is automatically going to pop up for you, so you don't need to worry about that. And this is yours. So you've got Missouri and Kansas. This one's really important. Make sure you put the right state that you're in,
Okay.
because if not, like if let's say you put you're in Kansas and it ends up you right in Missouri, we'll have to go back and rewrite that application.
Oh, the whole thing.
So so just make sure that you put in, the right states. We'll go with Kansas. In this case, we're going to go into training because the company has a program called ClickView. Excuse me. And so what ClickView does is that gives us help to see, how many unions we're running, referrals. It gives us all the information, and it also will show close ratio. So if you're doing all your practicing on live mode and you keep saying like, oh, couldn't afford or this, then I look at it, I'm like, Justin's got an 8% close ratio or so, so this is where you want to put, you always want to be in training mode. And then English, family status, single with dependents, married with dependents. And like I said, if it's a hard card, you could put group name in here. So like IBW 304, married with dependents. I'm going to put single just because I want to show you something in the needs analysis. If you if you choose the wrong one, but you will put whatever is there. And then again, I'm doing this before they jump into Zoom, so I have it. This is where you want to put whatever lead type it is. So union, referral, POS, credit union, association. So let's say it's a union because it's IBW.
Your union.
And then you could skip through. We don't play these
At
videos.
AI.
How did you skip through those so fast?
There's a play button at the bottom, and so I'm sorry, like a fast forward. So you just fast forward.
Okay.
The end.
I guess it maximizes my screen every time that it brings up a video. So I think that then I have to minimize it to close. So that's probably the reason.
Yeah. So if you click continue.
Due to the value,
right
overwhelming
here,
need, and
click that, click continue. And then, so it used to be that we typed all of our referrals into here. And that way they would go into impact, but we do them all through the virtual scheduler. So you can kind of just click out of that.
Okay. You're probably talking about the enable family entry if I click single, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, awesome. So if you ever get to the point where it's like, it's not letting me add anything in, enable family. And now it's going to unlock so you can put in for spouse.
Okay.
So this is where I always start my presentation. Like I was showing you last night, I try to have as much of this in that I already know. So, from sending the Zoom link, I should already have their email address. I have their phone number. I may not know their full address, but I'll know their city at least. And then these dates of birth, though, just so you know, don't automatically sync. So like if it's a referral and you put December 5th, 1995, just to start the presentation, and it turns out it's, April 10th of 85, notice this one doesn't automatically change. So you will have to, and both of these are going to be the same people because this is for the AIL plus.
Okay.
And then this is your actual needs analysis.
Okay.
So now you would have to match that as well. Change that to
April 1085.
And then now the other thing you want to make sure you're asking on the needs analysis is their legal name. So like my wife always goes by Kate or Katie, but her legal name is Catherine. So, always, and so a lot of people go by their middle name. So just say, so just to confirm, your legal first name is Michael. Is that correct? Oh, actually, it's Tom. Michael's my middle name. Okay, perfect. And then you put Tom in there. So make sure you get legal first name, confirm the spouse's date of birth. And then kids, you always want to list the kids in descending order from oldest to youngest. It's pretty simple. The only time it ever gets a little bit tricky is when it's like if it's got like some, yours, mine, and ours. So, if they both married and they had kids, I'll just say, all right, let's go in order. Under 18, Justin, who's the oldest, but between your and Brooke's kids, and then just kind of list them out. They can have different last names. So if it's like, we've got Tommy, that's yours, and then Brooke's daughter, and then you guys have one together. The last names don't have to sync up.
Okay.
But let's just all right. And then, like I said, you asked the medical questions. You did a great job last night, making them more kind of just overall. So, ever had cancer, ever had diabetes, cardiovascular disease, heart attack, stroke, and I like to just at the same time. So, Justin, this is for you, Brooke, and the two girls. Have any of you guys ever had cancer? All right. Do you guys have any family history of cancer? All right. Any terminal illness, or I'm sorry, diabetes? Any family history of it? Everyone you're kind of marking through, and then you're going through if there's any family history.
Okay.
All right. And then as far as this, if they are a salaried employee, I like to go on monthly take home. If they're an hourly employee, if they're self-employed, like if you're running a referral and they own a landscaping company, I would go on what's their average monthly because they don't get paid per hour. So,
Okay.
Justin, I know you own the business. What would you say is your average monthly take home from the business? Not in a peak month, in something that is consistent.
Okay.
And then if they're an hourly, so what do you guys get paid on the hour? I also like to reduce it. So and I'll show you how to. So Justin, what do you guys make, or what do you make per hour right now?
Making about $15 an hour.
15. All right. So just doing, and you work an average of 40 hours a week.
Yes.
All right. So roughly take home is going to be about what, 2,500 a month.
It sounds about right.
All right. Now, Justin, if it's okay with you, I want to do you a favor, and I actually want to make this a little bit more affordable for you. That way, we account for, taxes, any unexpected, bills, anything like that. So if it's okay with you, I just do this the best I can to help your family. I'm going to put in $2,000 here. And again, that's just to make sure that this stays as affordable as possible. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Everyone's going to like it. But the mistake I see so many people make is, you'll be like, oh, I make 2,500. Okay, cool. I'm going to put in 2,000. It's like, well, why?
Why?
Explain the why we're doing it. It's to help them. Same
Okay.
with the spouse. Okay, cool. So I'm going to put in 1,500. Make sure that I make this affordable for you guys. Life insurance through work. And really, for the most part, most presentations we're getting into, we're doing burial, accidental death, and the A71. So this doesn't fully matter. You can put it in, you don't have to. What I will tell you when it comes to this whole life coverage, I only put in whole life if they have freedom of choice, because it's automatically going to offer everyone $30,000. If you put in that they've got 20,000 through any other company, it's automatically only going to offer them 10,000.
Okay.
And I don't want to, because this isn't just your typical whole life policy. This is a final expense benefit. So I don't spend a ton of time with the coverages that they have, because really we're going to custom make the program anyway.
Okay.
I do like to ask these questions just because I like to get them thinking a little bit. It also helps me to know how to paint the picture. So Justin, do you guys rent or own your home?
We own
Awesome. And what would you say is the mortgage balance remaining ballpark?
about 1,500.
Oh, that not your monthly payment. What's like
Oh, the total balance.
yeah.
I think it's like 130,000 right now.
Okay, cool. So 130,000. And how many years would you say you have left on that?
Probably 12.
Okay, cool. So you're getting towards the end of that. Awesome. And then I don't ask this question because a lot of people confuse mortgage insurance with mortgage protection. So if you don't put 20% down on a house, the bank is going to make you get mortgage insurance. That doesn't cover Brooke and the kids. That covers them. If you die, it's an insurance policy that you pay for that they get their money back, but you don't, your family doesn't get anything. So rather than get into explaining all that, I just don't ask that question.
Okay.
And then Justin, have you guys, put aside anything or started anything for the girls' college education?
Not yet.
Okay, not a problem. And then primarily, do you use a traditional bank or a credit union?
Traditional.
Perfect. I know it says checking or savings. I like to ask traditional bank or credit union. In the family information guide, we should have already got that information.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then I'm going to click submit at that point. Now, at this point, I'm going to unshare my screen. I'm going to keep it shared so you see, but I unshare at this point because I am going to skip ahead to the end. And this is telling me what it's going to automatically put together based on all of that.
Okay.
So then you got your read off letter. Oh. Geez.
The warmth of
Then I'm going to skip through all these videos.
every as parents.
All right. Now you're going to have to do some unclicking because it's showing mortgage protection. It's showing kids at children's education. And so, it's right now it's showing them at $200 a month.
Okay.
So what you want to do, first of all, in most cases, we're not going to do income protection. And then the mortgage, we're going to offer the max ADB. So if they've got one kid, I'm going to do the Head Start program. If they've got more than one, I'm going to do the Child Rider. Child Rider is $6.25 no matter how many kids you have. It's $10,000 convertible to $50,000 when they're 21. The Head Start program is you can do up to 25,000. Actually, you can do up to 50 if it's their child. But standard is 25,000 with a guaranteed insurability option.
Okay.
So the way you do that is you do final expense child one, add that, and then you have to come down here and unclick Child Rider. Otherwise, it's going to have both.
Okay.
So right now we've got funerals, and then we're going to do max ADB. So ADB primary. And then let's say we're going to do the family A71. You got to go A71 and then click over here where primary spouse, primary child. You want to do primary spouse and child.
Okay.
All right. Unclick the recoup rider. So if they are doing a traditional burial, option A, we want to do 35,000 each. Option B, we want to do 20,000 each. The reason we do 35 over 30 is the actual rate of 35,000 is cheaper than it is at 30,000. So they're getting a lot more coverage for the same amount. They're getting an extra 5,000. because that puts you up, and I'll show you in the super combo. There's 4 types of whole life that we have. We have whole life, we have preferred life, executive life, and select life. Each one of them are dictated by the face value of how much coverage you're offering. Each one of them has a better rate per thousand, but you have to qualify for it. So like our premier is a select life policy that starts at 120,000 of coverage. If I've got someone who's got 2 strikes, I know JB was going over strikes with you guys yesterday. If I've got someone with 2 strikes, I'm not offering them $120,000 program. I want to save it for someone who's healthy, usually a little bit younger, because it's going to help make that value for them. But this is going to be option A. It's 35,000. 35,000 for the primary, 35,000 for the spouse. We've got the Head Start for their child. We did his max ADB at 200,000. We have the family A71. And then if the spouse works, like if in this case, if Catherine works a dangerous job, I may look at adding 100,000 ADB for her, but you just kind of play it by ear. So this is option A, and then you just take the 146.81 divided by 4. When you do the pitch sheet, though, always do whole numbers.
Okay.
So this may pop out, 2782, round it up to 28. All right. And then option B is in the gray here at 114.35. And then if you ever are curious, the gray is up here at 20,000 for each.
Okay.
That's if they want traditional. If they want to go cremation, depending on how old they are, if they're young and they want cremation, I'll do 20 and 10. If they're a little bit older, I may do 15 and 10. It just depends on, because if they're, if they're 30 years old and they're like, oh yeah, we want to do cremation, with the cost of cremations, 20,000 is not overselling.
Okay.
But that's, we also want to listen, because again, if I tell them the average cost of a traditional funeral today is 15,000, it's expected in 25 years, it's going to be upwards of 30,000. I know you want cremation, we're going to show you 30,000. Then it's like, well, you're not listening. So with this, I would, I'd say, so the average cost in 25 years is going to be that 30 to 35,000. But the great news is, or not the great news, but I know you mentioned that you and Brooke were both wanting to do cremation. That's why we're doing 20,000 for each of you guys versus the 35. With as young and as healthy as you are, you still want to account for inflation. You just don't need to account for as much because cremations are less expensive.
Okay.
So that's kind of how you're going through all of that. Now, if you ever have questions about anything, if you go up here to help, you've got the underwriting manual and the height weight chart right here. And if you don't have it pulled up. So I always ask in the needs analysis, height and weight.
Okay.
And as you saw, because I think it was Alan, I believe, was the one on one of your first day, he was off the weight chart.
Yeah.
So, that's why we want to ask. It's hard virtually because, you can't really tell, if it looks like someone's a little bit bigger. So I always ask it in the needs analysis. But let's say they're telling you about, oh, I've got, whatever it could be. Just to think of an example, let's say they've got diabetes. So this pops up your underwriting manual right here. You scroll down to diabetes. This is going to give you a quick synopsis in case you're curious what it is. This is going to tell you what's needed. A diabetic questionnaire should always be completed. An APS is always required, which is an attending physician statement. And a lot of times they're going to want to do a medical exam.
Okay.
Other factors you want to consider are hypertension or high blood pressure, and overweight are 2 common impairments that are going to add to those strikes. If associated with diabetes, may require an additional rating. An angina, heart attack, or coronary bypass, or peripheral vascular disease associated with IDDM are uninsurable.
Okay.
Underwriting action, range of rating to be from T2 to T8. Best applicants diagnosed at age 50 with excellent control may qualify. Standard, diabetics who are uncontrolled are uninsurable. Also, diabetes in combination with table 6 or more overweight is uninsurable. This is for insulin diabetes, just so you know. Type 2, which is metformin, is the most common prescription. That's treated just like a standard strength.
Okay.
But that's how you will find if you have any medical stuff that comes up, your height, weight chart, and your underwriting manual are right here.
Okay.
All right. And so from here, let's say they say, yeah, we're going to go with option A. Perfect. Click submit. And now you're going to go into the super combo. Before we go into this, though, and I apologize, I should ask before I close that screen. Any questions on anything in eApp so far? I know you've been messing with it quite a bit, but any questions on anything that we went through?
Not yet. I think once I start going through the whole thing and you're catching me on things I might be missing, that's probably where my questions.
Okay. So over here, I saw if they are over 18, you have to see them. If they are
Okay.
not there, you cannot. Now, if it's a child, you don't have to. If you can, I prefer, it's like I forget when we were enrolling, I think it was Jeremy's son. He was under 18, but I'm like, oh, he's there. Just bring the computer. Let me just mark that I saw him. If you don't click that you saw, like let's say, Viviana's asleep, you don't click I saw, and I saw questionnaire is going to pop up. You have to just type in, and it'll be after we do all these questions. And I saw questionnaire will pop up saying, why didn't you see the child? Where are they at? They're at their mom's, they're sleeping, they're at school, whatever it is. And then you put in dates of birth, and it does make you re-enter even from the needs analysis. So always when you write up an app, also make sure you always have your screen shared. To me, this is one of the biggest mistakes people will make is they don't have their screen share going on. And so then what ends up happening is we end up missing information. And so that's why you always want to make sure that it does pop up, or that you are shared, so that the client can kind of see as you're putting everything in. It also eases them as well that you're not just asking random questions, like they can see you entering everything in.
Okay.
Affiliation type is how we are seeing that person. So are they a referral? Are they a policy holder? If they're a policy holder, I also like to put how they initially got covered or like got access to the company if I know that. But let's say it's a referral, so I would put IBW 304 referral. And then here you want to click again, whatever. Is it a union, a credit union, an association? Globe Life, we don't run that much. POS is policy owner service. REF is referrals. So in this case, it would be a referral. I've already put in the date of birth. And then this is what state were you born in? So let's say we're just keeping this true. Ohio. And then, all right. So Justin, what's your height? 5'11". Weight, 180. NTU is non-tobacco user. So if this is clicked and this is checked right here, that means they are a non-tobacco user. If they are a tobacco user, this is going to be unchecked.
Okay.
Social. All right. And then Catherine, were you born in Missouri or Kansas? Okay. Minnesota. And Catherine, height, 5'4", 25. And then social. Now, if you notice, it does gray it out as soon as we put that in. So just confirm with them before you tab out. And the thing about eApp is you can get to every section that's blue by just hitting tab.
Oh,
So you don't have to click through, but before you tab out, make sure that they confirm, like, yeah, that's the correct social. And then with Viviana, we didn't see her. Her birthplace was Kansas. And Viviana, she's, I don't know how tall an 11-year-old is. And then you don't need anyone under 18, you don't need their social.
Okay.
Box number 4, person to be owner of the policy. In most cases, it's going to be proposed insured A. If this is only like head starts that you're doing, or let's say, like we had with Jeremy and not Jeremy, Jason and Shanae, where they were enrolling an 18-year-old plus, but they were the owner, that's where you put in who's going to own and pay for the policy. So if it's Michael, then you just could propose insured A. If let's say, I'm 19 and my mom's paying, then you put mom's name, mom's social, and mother.
Okay.
Again, so in this case, proposed insured A, driver's license number and state. And then occupation title. This one you want to be careful on. So if you, let's say, put labor, this is a drop down box, and I see it happen so much where it says disabled, retired, student, unemployed. Don't list any of these 4, put in what they do, like actually type it, but be careful. Sometimes when you hit tab, it disappears like I just showed you, or it'll go to disabled. So just make sure that it stays with labor.
Okay.
And you want to put the employer's name. And then for Catherine, registered nurse, Children's Mercy. All right. And then you retype in their address. And then confirm the email address, and then put in, if it's a single person, make sure you still put in 2 phone numbers. So, if it's just, it's like, oh, what's your number? 816-287-6534. All right. What's the secondary number? Oh, I only have 1. All right. Well, who's going to be your beneficiary? Put that number in there. We want to make sure if we can't get a hold of them that we have a number that we can contact.
Okay.
So in this case, it's a spouse. All right. And then primary beneficiary, A matches with A. So this would be my primary beneficiary. In most cases, it's going to be the spouse. But what will confuse people. So if let's say we use my brother. So Joe Sorelli. And we put brother. And then under Kate, it's going to be brother-in-law. But what happens so many times when they're looking at this, like, oh, no, he's my brother and my brother-in-law. A is the beneficiaries for A, which is me. So my beneficiary is my wife and my brother. B matches B. Kate's beneficiary are me. And then Joe, who is her brother-in-law.
Okay.
And then for Viviana, usually when there's a kid, what I do is just put in both parents. So, and I usually will put the spouse first. I'll put the wife first. So Catherine Sorelli is going to be the primary because she'll most likely outlive me. And then I'll be the secondary. Then you go down here. 11 is always going to be no. Is any insurance applied for intended to replace or change insurance or annuities in this or any other company? We don't sell replacement coverage. So you'll never see me go into a presentation and say, oh, you've got some coverage through State Farm. Well, you can go ahead and cancel that and get this instead.
Okay.
So we never do replacement coverage. Is proposed insured a U.S. citizen? Yes. do you wish automatic loan provision on your life policy? You always click yes on this. What that means is, let's say in 10 years, they've built up 10 years of cash value on their program. And the company, can't get a hold of them and they change their bank. So that the policy doesn't lapse, that gives the company permission to use the cash value to pay for the program to keep it from lapsing.
Okay.
So you always want to click yes on automatic loan provision. And then you want to make sure here that everything matches. So is this exactly what I went over? And so just to give you an example, 35,000 for Michael is 4801. 30,000 saying it doesn't matter. As you can see, under whole life, 34,999, which is less coverage, is 55. So when you get to preferred life, it actually saves you money per thousand.
Okay. So make sure it's preferred life.
Yeah, 35,000 if they're doing traditional burial.
Okay.
So, and then you've got, always make sure terminal illness rider is clicked for both of those. This is C1. This is for the child. So you've got preferred life, 25,000. And then you want to go ahead and manually click the GIO. So 25,000 gives them the guaranteed insurability option and the terminal illness rider.
Okay.
So confirm all that coverage. I use this as an opportunity again to build up the program. So because if you see here, now by looking at this, based on what I was pitching earlier, what is this missing?
Let's see. Got the rider, got the ADB. Looks like the. Oh, when you're talking about the proposed or the under which section are you asking?
So under A, we've got the funeral benefit. Under B, we've got the funeral benefit. Under C, we've got the funeral benefit, and then we've got the accident policy. But we pitched something that's not showing up on here.
Would that be the living benefits?
So that's actually going to be the A71 is the living benefit, but ADB needs to be checked.
Accidental death benefit.
200,000. So again, you want to be careful because sometimes you're going to see that this will change it. So what I always like to do, I keep the pitch sheet that I showed them up and I make sure that these numbers match.
Okay.
So now we went in, we made sure I built up the coverage. So Justin, just, again, wanted to let you know, you got the 35,000 for both you and Brooke, which is awesome. You got the 25,000 for your daughter, and then you've got that additional accidental coverage plus that living benefit, which is going to pay you if you pass from an accidental death, auto, or common carrier. If the living benefit, 250 for hospital or ER, 500 for hospital, 1,000 for ICU. Incredible program that's going to protect you guys. A lot of times, what I talk about this quite a bit. I want to do everything I can to avoid that immediate cancellation. So, and it happens every once in a while where someone will enroll the next day. They're like, hey, we're not, we don't want this, or we're concerned or whatever. What I find is 9 times out of 10, we're not building up the program when we're selling it to them. So we've sold it and now it's like, oh, cool. They said yes. And now we're rushing through the paperwork. So take your time, especially, and build up, oh, great program. It's going to protect every aspect of the family. Question 15, I've received an outline of coverage. They got the A71, so you click that. I always click no on 16 and 17. And now we put in their banking info. So
said no on 16, 17.
Yep. And when you're putting in the routing and account number, you're going to have to enter it in twice.
Okay, yeah. They had me do that the first time.
So, and then let's go 11 44 5566. And if you miss it, it doesn't match. I added a Y. Now they match.
Okay.
Checking your savings account. And then, Justin, as I was mentioning earlier, Today is Wednesday. Your first or Tuesday. Your first contribution is going to come out between Friday and Monday of this Friday and Monday of next week. No issues with that 139.26 coming out of the account. Awesome. Now on a monthly basis, this can be drafted from the 23rd to the 3rd of the month. So we have a 10-day draft rule. It has to, you can't choose the 29th, the 30th, or the 31st because every month doesn't have that, but you have to take into account those days. So the way you want to figure it, today's the 23rd, so 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. We can't do the 29th, the 30th, or the 31st, but we can do the 1st. So you can do the 23rd through the 28th, or you can do the 1st. What day would you prefer?
We'll just do the 25th.
Perfect. So if you see here, you do the 25th, you hit tab, it tells you your next contribution is going to be the 25th of September. But see, let's say you go outside of that window. So you put the 6th. Okay, sorry, let's go with the 8th. As you can see, it's going to draft this week, and then it's going to draft again September 8th.
Okay.
So if someone's insisting, like, no, it's got to be the 8th, you let them know, okay, well, it's gonna draft twice in the first month. Are you okay with that? Most of the time, I can tell you, I've probably written 2 deals in 9 years that was okay with the double draft. They will pick another day.
Okay.
All right. At this point, that's when you're going to open up the summary sheet, and that's where you put in all the coverage that they have, and that's when you do after sale referrals.
Okay.
So then after you finish that up, then you go to page 2. Just over time doing it, I have the questions, pretty much memorized, but, just to give you a synopsis of what they're asking for. Have you ever been treated for alcohol abuse, taken street drugs, or abused prescription drugs? Have you ever had your driver's license suspended or revoked? If you hit yes, it's going to give you an option for arrested other than a DUI or arrested for a DUI.
Okay.
So let's say Catherine's had a DUI. Do you have a pilot's license? Do you participate in auto, boat, or motorcycle racing? Any treatment for high blood pressure, chest pain, heart attack, stroke? Let's say Michael has had blood pressure, diabetes, paralysis, epilepsy, and this is really important. So on 24B, it says paralysis, epilepsy, mental disease, or disorder. You need to change that to paralysis, epilepsy, anxiety, or depression. That's where you find the depression questionnaire. And if they have anxiety or depression, it's the same questionnaire.
Okay.
All right. But it has to be listed. And if you ask them any mental disease or disorder, they're going to say no, as they should. But that's why you want to say paralysis, epilepsy, anxiety, or depression. And let's say Catherine has depression. Any treatment for arthritis, back, knee, or joint injuries? Any departure from good health? Any treatment for tumors, cancerous or benign? Ever been declined for health or life insurance or received a rating? Do you get regular physical exams? In the past 5 years, have you had any prescriptions? If they say no, I'm reiterating that question because I don't know anyone who hasn't been to the doctor or had a prescription in the last 5 years. You really want to be careful when you're writing up applications because you have the same underwriter for all of your policies. You're going to make their life easy or harder. If you make their life easy, you're going to have a much better time getting your policies approved and approved quickly. Don't make them chase information. And what I like to do, I will list a multivitamin. And the reason I do that is if I'm showing stuff that doesn't matter, so like they're on birth control, that doesn't matter when it comes to underwriting. But what it shows is I did my due diligence to ask questions.
Okay.
If I say no prescriptions and then they find out, oh, well, they're on a birth control pill and they're on a cholesterol pill, that may not affect their ability to qualify. But what it does do is make underwriting think, what else didn't they list?
Ah, okay.
So that's why 5 years, any prescriptions, and then, so let's say yes for Michael and Catherine. In the past 5 years, has anyone been hospitalized overnight? Terminal illness or Alzheimer's? Asthma, emphysema, sleep apnea? Ulcer, colitis, or digestive tract disorder? Cirrhosis, hepatitis, or liver disorder? Kidney, prostate, urinary disorder? Disease of the breast, uterus, or ovaries? Rheumatoid arthritis? Loss of hearing or sight? AIDS, HIV? Any tobacco use in any form in the last 12 months? Let's say yes. Now, it says here, changing the smoking status may result in new premiums. Is that okay? Because you got to remember on page 1, I put that they were non-tobacco users.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, I made a mistake. They're not. If they use marijuana, you want to put that they are a tobacco user because that's the most common thing is they're going to get a tobacco rating. Any marijuana in the last 12 months. All right. Now here, you list their doctor information. If by some chance, so let's say with the spouse, so as you see, I'm now out of room. I can't add anything else. So what
Make
you
a note.
So you've got the doctor, you've got the first part of the address. You come down here under remarks or instructions, and then you can pick up right where you left off. You want to avoid abbreviations like KC or anything like that, just to make their life easy again. So if the whole address fits, you can put it all up here. If there's more, you just put it down and make sure this is for insured A, this isn't for insured B, this is for insured C if you have to put the kids.
Okay.
Phone number. Last time they were seen. And just put NA for medical records ID. You don't need to worry about that. If they say, oh, I don't have a primary doctor, who was the last doctor that you saw? Who would have your most updated medical records?
Okay.
All right. This city is the city that they are in, not where you are. So let's say you're sitting with someone who's in Kansas City, Kansas. This is always where the client is.
Now, that's where they are at that time, or okay.
Yeah. So let's say they live in Washington, but this is you enroll somebody, they love you, and then Thanksgiving comes around and they're like, oh, Justin, my brother's in town. I'd love for you to, get him a policy. On page 1, you're going to put his Washington address right here, because that's the address for the policy holder. This is the city and state where they currently are standing.
Okay.
So you can enroll anyone you want as long as they're standing in Kansas and
In
Missouri.
Kansas. Okay.
It doesn't matter where they live. So
So
that's where you put that. Agent statement. I certify that I've asked all questions and truly and accurately recorded the information supplied by the applicant to the best of my knowledge and belief. The insurance policy or the insurance applied for is or is not intended to replace any insurance now in effect. It's always is not. So this always has to be is not, because again, we don't sell replacement coverage. Best time to call. So Justin, for our underwriters to reach out, is the best time to get a hold of you between 8 a.m. and noon, noon and 6, or 6 and 9 p.m.
probably 8 a.m. and noon.
Perfect. Now, in here, what you want to put for remarks or instructions is either continued doctor's information, or let's say, for example, the wife is pregnant. So for insured B, Catherine, she is currently 8 months pregnant and weight listed is based on current weight with baby. And then, I push this up a little bit to make sure I have more room. And I put weight prior to pregnancy, 110, whatever. So that way, because sometimes like you may get somebody who is pregnant and the weight on there isn't accurate of what their current weight is.
Okay.
So that's any additional notes you would put in there. And then mail the policy. You always want to have the policy mailed to the policy holder, not the agency. If you choose the agency, it's going to come here and then we mail it out to them, but you just want to make it seamless. It goes right to the policy holder.
Stakeholder.
All right. Any questions so far?
So far, so good.
All right. I know it's a lot of information. That's why we're recording it, so I can send it to you. Page 3 is only needed if they have more than 3 kids. So as you can see here, page 3 picks up at child 4, child 5, child 6 through child 9. Their dates of birth, age, birthplace, height, weight, sex, beneficiaries, and the coverage. So unless they have more than 3 kids, you're not going to touch page 3.
Okay.
So at this point, you filled out all of page 1 and 2. You're going to click validate. This is going to tell you if you've missed anything. So there are 2 errors, and it says question requires an answer and driver's license format is invalid for the state. So question requires an answer means I missed the question here. Oh, there we go. 28. They've never been declined. And then driver's license format is invalid. Oh, okay. Let me get that again. Perfect. Validated again.
Thank you.
And now there's no errors on this form. So now I can click this X right here, and this is going to bring me to all the questionnaires that we need to fill out.
Okay.
One thing, and there's a reason I clicked it. If you put they were arrested for a DUI or other than a DUI, it's automatically going to populate an alcohol use questionnaire. All right, it's going to auto-populate a driver's license questionnaire automatically, even if it was speeding tickets, it's always going to ask. So accelerated death benefit, nothing needs filled out. Open, validate, close. This is accelerated death benefit is the terminal illness rider. So those don't need filled out. Just like I said, open, validate, close. Accident outline of coverage. Go here. There's nothing that needs filled out. Here, nothing needs filled out. Validate, close. Alcohol exclusion. If they have a DUI, this is always going to pop up or populate. It is understood and agreed that no payment will be made under my policy on account of disability or loss resulting directly or indirectly, wholly or in part, from driving any motor vehicle while intoxicated or under the influence of any alcohol as determined by the legal standard of the jurisdiction in which the loss occurs. Essentially, you die from, like you're driving under the influence and you pass away, that voids your policy.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
validate, close, alcohol exclusion rider. This is the same exact thing. Close. Alcohol use questionnaire. Have you ever been charged with driving while intoxicated or impaired? They said yes. How many? 1. Driver's license, re-enter their driver's license number. It's going to bring it up the 2 options. So this was Kate's. Date of the arrest. All you need is month and year. So let's say it was April 2015. Do you currently drink? Make sure that they're honest about this, because everyone's like, oh no, I don't drink anymore. Do you currently drink? Yeah, I do. All right, perfect. If you don't, when was the last time you were drink? When was the last time you drank? Especially on this question, I'll say now, Justin, home office, what they're going to do, our underwriting department, they're going to contact, your doctor, get medical records. They're going to look. If you say that you had champagne on New Year's Eve, they're going to count that. So, do you currently drink? Yes. Okay. And you drink daily, once or twice a week, once or twice a month, or less often? I drink once or twice a month. And when you drink, about how many drinks approximately? About 2. All right. Have you ever received treatment for alcohol use? No. Have you ever been a member of AA? No. If yes, you got to put the dates of the treatment and where they were treated. And was it inpatient or outpatient? If it was inpatient, or in either case, how long was that for? If yes to A or B, which is alcohol or AA, alcohol treatment or AA, was it voluntary or court ordered? Do you currently attend AA meetings? And have you ever used street drugs or abused prescription drugs? There are no errors. We're good with that. Depression questionnaire. We listed that Catherine was treated for depression. So have you ever been treated for any type of depression, anxiety, or nervous disorder? Yes. When were you first treated? December 2013. Do you take medication? Yes. If so, Zoloft 25 milligrams once daily. That's the only medication. Have you ever been hospitalized? No. Have you ever missed time from work? No. Are you currently disabled? No. Physician that treats the condition, then you just put there whatever her doctor, oh, right there. And the last time she was seen. Have you ever received treatment from a psychologist or psychiatrist? No. And then you can leave the rest blank.
Okay.
Validate it, close. Driver's license questionnaire, name shown on license, Catherine Sorelli. If you do not have a license, please answer any of the following. Have you ever been a licensed driver? Yes. Has your license ever been suspended? Yes. If yes, why? DUI in 2013. Has your license ever been suspended or revoked or not obtained because of alcohol related problems? Yes. Details. DUI in 2013. Has your driver's license ever been suspended or revoked or not obtained because of health problems? No. And then you don't need any details. Validate it, close. Electronic application disclosure form. This is just stating that they are signing virtually. Nothing needs filled out. Validate it and close it. High blood pressure. Michael has high blood pressure. He was diagnosed in October of 2015. Do you take medication daily? Yes. Lisinopril. 25 milligrams once daily. Name and address of doctor with current records of blood pressure. The reason I keep typing this in, a lot of people will tell you, and I used to do this, Nick was actually the one who helped me with this. A lot of people will put same as main app. The problem is underwriting looks at that, and yeah, they can look back at it, but it just helps them. So as you can see, if you just type doctor and then just put Smith and then their, that address from earlier, date of last visit was January of this year. The reading was 120/80. Is blood pressure under control? Yes, it is. Have you ever been hospitalized? No. Additional marks. Blood pressure is controlled by diet and exercise. Validate it. Close it. HIPAA form. Nothing needs filled out. All they got to do is validate it. Close it. I saw, this is for Vivionics. We didn't click I saw. Viviana was at school at time of application. Validate it. Close it. Medical information. So this is where you're going to put anything that maybe they take that wasn't listed.
Okay.
So we already listed the depression medication for Catherine. We listed the high blood pressure for Michael. So with Michael, it's multivitamin taken once daily. Date started taking. Was not hospitalized. NA for how long? And then you don't need to fill out. But let's say, so Michael had appendix removal surgery, was in hospital for 2 days. After surgery, full recovery has been made. No additional treatment since. The date of that was October 2009. Was in the hospital 2 days. Doctor and the address of the hospital. When you get into this kind of stuff, they're going to know names. They're probably not going to remember specifics. So this is where you'll just look it up. As you've probably seen me before when they did the map, it's like, oh, is this your doctor on this street? Okay, perfect. So you have that. Validate it, close it. Medical questionnaire. If Kate doesn't take anything else, you could just put C, depression questionnaire. No additional medication taken. And if that's the case, you just put all zeros and they were not in the hospital. Oral specimen, because we're virtual, all you do is put virtual. That way we don't have to put an oral kit number in there. And then payer information. This is just going to be their information. Validate it, close it. Every questionnaire needs to have these eyeglasses on it to know that it's complete. Once all that's done, then you can hit next. It's going to repopulate to sign. And this is saying that they are going to receive text messages. If you're in person, you should click this. That way it's not emailing it. You can sign over Zoom, or I just do DocuSign for all of them. It's going to make you put in the email address a second time. So if you click Michael's, hit tab, it's going to want that email address again.
Okay.
And then Catherine's, hit tab. And then submit. Now it repopulates everything. Now, let's say you realize when you're going through and signing, you missed something. What you do is click back, and then unlock. When you click unlock, it's going to ask for this code. It's going to ask if you're still with the client and then why you're unlocking it. But let's say, let's not do that. But now, got that, got the email address. And now before they sign, you go in and sign everything as the agent. So your first signature is going to be on page 2 of the super combo. And once you type it in once, all you have to do is hit apply signature, and then you validate it and close it. It reminds you of the new draft code, accident A71, apply signature. Now, if you see here, some of them already have the green check mark and you haven't signed them. That means there's no signature needed. So you only open up the ones with the eyeglasses. That tells you that you need to scroll down and sign your portion of it. All right, once everything has the green check mark, you click next. Now, if you ever are going to trial a deal, this is where you do it. So it says here, Michael, preferred life non-smoker, Catherine, Viviana, and then Michael as the owner is going to be the A71. So there's two options, standard submit or trial without money. So if we're going to trial, Catherine, because she had a DUI, she had depression medication, and she's a smoker, whatever else. We click trial without money. This is going to show what's going to draft from their account. So if we send her standard, it's 139.26. If we trial it, it's 107.14.
Okay.
And then you click next. This is a summary sheet of their coverage. And then we're also going to send them the summary sheet as well. This gives an example of the policy. So I like to share my screen at this point and just tell them, guys, when your policies come in, they're going to look a little bit like this. This is just a sample policy so that you're not caught off guard. It's going to show what your monthly contribution is, the face value for your permanent coverage. All right, so your policy will look a lot like that. Final remarks. You want to just get used to reading this verbatim just while you're getting started. It's just going to let them know kind of the next steps of everything.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, can't. It's hidden. I can't click the continue. It's unreal. So honestly, at that point, you're just gonna click send and it's gonna send to the client.
Okay.
And then they send that back. They'll sign it on DocuSign, and then this is how you'll wait to see if you get it back. Go back to. So you just read this with them, check off everything, making sure you did that. And then when you send next, it's going to lock everything. And you click finish. And an application package was sent successfully for signing. That's when you can let them know, all right, check your email. You should get that DocuSign.
Okay.
Then what you do is, let me make sure I'm just sharing this whole desktop. So once they do that, you want to close eApp and then open it back up. Hit update, old and more, re-log in. And now when you click this, there's going to be a separate box that's going to pop up. We were in training mode, so it's not. There will be a box that will pop up with a button that says refresh. You wait until you see that application come back to you. And then once you see you have that, I don't end the call until I have the DocuSign returned.
Okay.
All right. Any questions on that? Like I said, I know it's a lot, going over with everything, but that's what I was telling you last week. It's a pretty easy program once you get the hang of it. It seems a little daunting at first, but for the most part, it's not tough.
Yeah, I took quite a few notes. So, I mean, looking over the notes, just making sure I click a few things here and there. It seems like, and ask the right questions, I guess.
Yeah. Any questions about anything that you saw me do or what something meant?
I don't think so. I think it's just going to be something I'm going to have to try and see if it all works out.